Oh no, guys, they did the thing. They did the thing for the game that it's interesting, right? Because the more the days go on, just did a video about this and the fact that I just don't think that the math is really mathing on this one, okay? Because from what I'm hearing about Doom the Dark Ages, yeah, it's fun, okay? It's more Doom, but some of the other mechanics that are there are, they're lacking, to say the least. Not quite engaging the same way that Eternal and especially 2016 did. So yeah, long term, it's going to be interesting to see. And then, of course, you had its release, and you've even had the subsequent days. And here I am talking about this. What are we at? Tuesday evening, something like that. And yeah, 10,000 people playing, 16,000 people over the past 24 hours, 31,000 peak. It's not great. It's really not great, but hey, look at that. You have 3 million players. Oh no, they did the thing. And yeah, Bethesda is getting roasted for this right now. Even though, yeah, they'll go ahead and point out 7 times faster to 3 million players than Doom Eternal, which peaked at over 101,000 concurrent players on Steam. And yeah, I understand that Doom Eternal didn't release day and date on Game Pass. I get it. All of those caveats do also apply. But you know who else made statements like this? And then we ended up getting, some sales data a couple of weeks later. Assassin's Creed Shadows. And they also last updated us on 3 million concurrent players, only for it to eventually come out that they only sold 1.75 million copies across the 3 platforms that were available. Not great numbers. Really not great numbers, guys. So yeah, if I was somebody working at id Software or over at Bethesda, with the long-term vision of maintaining the Doom IP, or anybody potentially looking at working on Wolfenstein, or I think Quake. Quake used to be a part of id all the way back in the cut, but working on anything else over there, I'd be worried a little bit about job security, because players, they don't pay the bills. It'd be like when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video were still running around and people going, hey guys, yeah, we have great news about Super Mario All-Stars collection. Okay, we have 10 million rentals. Like, okay, cool. Thanks for that superfluous data. I'm sure those devs will really rest easy tonight. Yeah, it'll be interesting to figure out how many people were playing for $20 a month on Game Pass, and how many people bought the physical copy on PS5, or, well, I don't think anybody would have bought a physical copy over on Xbox, especially when you got to get Game Pass in order to do online gaming to begin with. So yeah, we can go ahead and take a look at the expected and projected numbers on Steam, and well, I mean, you might end up having, and these are always incredibly generous estimations, 300 to 400,000 sales on Steam in the first week. Not great. Really not great news. And given that most of the chatter is the game is, that's fine, but it's not quite as good as Eternal. It's not quite as good as 16. And like I said in the past couple of days, if this was, I don't know, not even a budget title, but if we weren't dealing in $60, $70, $80 games, and we didn't have these languishing subscription services, you could get away with 3 million players. You could get away with 2 million sales. I'm not entirely sure of the budget of Doom the Dark Ages. I don't think it's going to be too terribly astronomical, but time will tell, I suppose. But yeah, all of this factors into a game that, generally speaking, has a decent word of mouth. 3 million players, thank you. All of their social media has been all very complimentary to the player base. Like I said, even if there's just the sagging numbers, overall, people who played it did enjoy it. It's just not enough people are taking a flyer on this because the delta is far too high. And I want you to compare and contrast that with another game that's on the horizon, another first-person shooter, one that will not have the same benefit of the doubt because it is following up on a game that it was catastrophic to the overall franchise. And the most recent thing to tap into the IP was one of the biggest bombs in the cinema last year. And we're talking Gearbox, we're talking Borderlands 4, and we're talking one of the worst CEOs in gaming, Randy Pitchford, who stuck his stupid hoof in his fat mouth once again. Must be a day that ends in Y. Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford says real Borderlands fans will find a way to pay $80 for Borderlands. What was that? It was just going to be certain specific instances of $80 games over at Nintendo. It wasn't going to become an industry staple, right? Right? Fuck off. I guess the one good thing about this is we won't be seeing Borderlands 5. Okay, like that. I think this is, it's tough to say that this is an overrated franchise, mostly because, well, they milked 2 for far too long. They had the pre-sequel before they even dropped 3, and God, I never really dug these games. I gave the original Borderlands a try. Played a couple of levels, and the whole looter shooter stuff never really got me all that much. I thought the UI was clunky and cluttered to begin with. Too many numbers, too many flashing lights that are on the screen. The whole cel-shaded look never really grabbed me all that much. It wasn't really my thing. I know that it was hyper popular for a while. Handsome Jack was a big name for a while. It's never been my thing. And then every time that Randy Pitchford would start to flap his gums, well, my estimation of the company continued to precipitously drop. And overall public sentiment for the game and the franchise really did shift. I think that was, 2019 when Borderlands 3 dropped, and nobody ever thought, nor were they really clamoring for fourth. And then for them to announce this off of the failure that was the Borderlands movie last year, I mean, it was an interesting gamble. Randy Pitchford, the CEO Gearbox, or the Gearbox CEO. There we go. He's a Gearbox in and of himself. The developer of the Borderlands franchise said that real fans of Borderlands franchise will find a way to pay $80 if that is the game, or if that is what the game rather will retail for. Pitchford shared a promotional video for Borderlands 4 and the game releasing on Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, writing on X, "I'm so very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I am even more excited to bring Borderlands 4 to this incredible, magical machine." Yeah. So great that we also got the quasi-announcement that Borderlands 4, it can run on a PS4. So glad to hear that. In response, an individual stated, "Randy, this game better not be $80. I don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of your price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher." Fair enough. I mean, that is something that you could definitely put out there. And if you take a look over the past couple of years, what have been the biggest hits? And when I was doing a little bit of research for this video, it really did just get driven home, because I've just been talking recently about, okay, cool, the two biggest hits in gaming so far this year. Oblivion Remaster just dropping out of nowhere. It was a game that people have wanted for a while, and a remaster of a beloved game from 2006. I was a little bit dour on that, mostly because we're just still stuck in the same cultural loop. But hey man, a lot of people played it. Over 200,000 concurrent players on Steam, even though it came day one on Game Pass. Funny how that stuff works. But that was a game that dropped at $50 USD? And then, of course, the biggest hit of the year, Claire Obscura, sorry, there's no A at the end of that. I always want to put an A at the end of Obscura, or Obscure. See, it just happens. It's just natural like that. But Expedition 33, that was $40? $40 or $50, the same thing. And yeah, that game is still a massive hit. Really is strange to have that parallel. And then you just go back to 2024. It's like, okay, what was the first big game of the year? Palworld. Well, it dropped in early access, and it was only, I think I picked up my copy at $40 or something like that, or whatever the Canadian conversion rate ended up being. And then after that, it was Helldivers 2, another budgeted title. Hell, I think in totality, the only hit from 2024 that was full price, I'd have to go and check this once again, would be Black Myth Wukong. I'm not entirely sure if that dropped at $70, or maybe it was a little bit less, or hell, maybe it was that point. But every other game that was out there, all of the indie hits, all of the AA hits that were out there, they were far more numerous than the number of AAA disasters. And they were quantifiable last year and are stacking up quite profoundly to begin this year. But I digress. We're not through this year so far, and Borderlands 4 is about to drop. But yes, we have the concerned replier. Okay, don't do $80, man. It's not going to end up working out well for you. But Pitchford replied, "Not my call." Yeah, man. I mean, you are just the developer after all. It's normally the publisher that ends up making the calls on microtransactions and pricing. So, yeah, you just take a look at Ed Boon and everything that he's been trying to do for Mortal Kombat. But because Warner Brothers Games is such a stupid fucking company, they probably took the hyper successful formula that worked so well for Mortal Kombat 9 and X, and ended up creating 11 and 1 via egregious microtransactions, overpriced skins, price gating fatalities. Like, oh god, that's another game. That's another series. That's another tangent I can go on and have time and time again. But yeah, it's a publisher's call when it comes to the pricing. So yeah, not my call. I can agree with you on that. But then Randy goes full Pitchford. "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80.91. Oh, when I was just out of high school working minimum wage in an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. Yeah, so if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to pay $80 for stupid butt stallion jokes in 2025. Go fuck yourself, Randy. Number of individuals on Twitter were, not happy with Pitchford's comments. If you're a real fan is an awful thing to use against someone. Shout out Vera Dark for that one. The very, very apt reply. Synth Potato wrote, oh, the Synth Potato? Dog, we're not paying $80 for a Borderlands game, fully knowing you'll do multiple season passes that cost another $100, and you'll probably sell weapon skins too. Oh yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, because that's why 2 stuck around for so long. That was right at the advent of, because originally, like, season passes, there was normally just, like, 1 season pass for a game. But that was one of the early adopters, I think. It was probably that or an EA title. You know, the EA was very much at their most greediest and most nefarious during the 7th PS3, Xbox 360 generations. But pretty sure Borderlands 2 got a second season, one of the first games to do as much. So yeah, just end up tacking on a whole bunch of stupid additional missions that are of dubious quality, and we'll just charge you out the ass for that. So yeah, if you pay $80 up front, like you would in a 1991, instead of getting a complete game, you'll get about 60% of the game. And then we'll just charge you for the rest of it. That's another big reason why this $80 price tag is not comparable, because games used to be expensive in the past. See, I've got a flyer of an EB Games catalog that said that Super Metroid was $90, bro. Yeah, Super Metroid has infinite replayability. Borderlands 4, well, is the 4th Borderlands game. I don't know what else to tell you. Tesla Tidbits wrote, way to endear yourself to any fan there, Randy. Borderlands 3, it was a technical mess and the series needs a hit, and you're out here talking about real fans. Yeah, the way to earn the $80, man. I mean, we can continue to run down hilarious replies till we're all blue in the face. Can't wait for the AAA games industry to collapse in and on itself. I'm excitedly counting down the days. But yeah, everybody's really come to this conclusion, man. That $80 price tag is going to be a death sentence for everything that is not Mario Kart World. And that, hell, that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back in regards to Nintendo. I mean, their long-term projections ain't looking that rosy if we're going to keep it a buck. And now with the CEO of Gearbox coming out and making such a stupid statement, I think the long-term projections for Borderlands 4 got even more dire than they were to begin with. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Coswell. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.